When scouting a field, a major consideration is how many acres you're going to be looking at. On a 120-acre field, which is very typical in West Texas, you want to look at 8 spots, as opposed to on a 60-acre field, need to look at 4 locations. These need to be randomized, and you probably need to change this up on a regular basis. In other words, unless there's a specific reason, don't come back to the same spot every time. The departure from this, as opposed to cotton is more of a frequency type crop. In other words, the pest pressures are such that you need to come out every few days, 3 to 5 days. Whereas peanuts are going to be more of a thoroughness type situation. In other words, that's what you need to come out on a regular basis, but thoroughness is the key to peanut scouting. Another important consideration that one needs to be thinking about early in the season is plant population. In a randomized fashion, you need to look at 4 locations in a 120-acre circle in order to get these plant populations. This can be done by looking at 10 row feet and simply counting the plants. The reason this is important is you can backtrack and reference what the percentage that you'll have as far as something like tomato spotted wilt virus, or if there's plant death occurring, which is also important to the farmers. Within a week to 2 weeks after planting, what you'll see is a condition that we're seeing here, which is the field, the peanuts are starting to crack. What you can do in looking at this is kind of get an idea of what kind of stand that you're going to have, any kind of damage that you're going to see from herbicides and things of this nature. But the end result is this won't be the final plant stand. It's important to get a good plant stand because by doing this you're going to be able to do some percentages as far as insect populations are concerned.
Tools of the trade needed in scouting peanuts for insects and diseases include a standard shovel. Use that shovel for digging up your peanuts and scouting, checking for soil dwelling and root feeding insects. A good quality hand lens used for identifying, magnifying, and identifying those insects correctly so that you can make proper recommendations and treatment. And then some diagnostic tools, including a compendium of peanut diseases, such as this one, published by the American Phytopathological Society, and a peanut production guide like this one from the Texas Cooperative Extension Service, which was funded by the Texas Peanut Producers Board.
I want to discuss with you now the development of peanuts, and what we'll see immediately after planting, the peanut will swell, send down the root here, and as you see, these are the cracking development, the at crack stage of peanuts. 35 to 40 days after cracking, we'll see this stage here, which is the bloom stage. This is an important time again to go out and get plant populations and to notice the thrips damage and be able to recognize that damage and convey it to the farmers. Peanuts are one of these unique plants that the bloom ends up becoming a peg. The peg goes into the ground and the fruit is formed by swelling and making a pod, and this is the fruit part of the peanut plant.
Midway through our peanut growing season here in West Texas, we're about 75 to 90 days since planting, somewhere in mid-July. We've got pegs setting on the plants, and we've got pod development and pod filling occurring on the plants. This is the time of year that the runner varieties begin to lap the rows, reaching the vines reaching across the furrows in between rows, and we see solid green fields then. At this time of the season, we should be looking for good, healthy peg development, pod development, and pod filling, noticing that there's no evidence of disease. We won't be blackening of the roots, the pods, or pegs, nor any insect feeding damage, which would again be feeding, eating off of the pegs, or burrowing in or etching of the pods as they develop.